you. All right. Thank you, family. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow. 12,000 plus people at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. How did I get here? I want to tell that story. This morning, like many of you, I was raised in a middle income home. My parents taught me a lot of really important things. Love God, respect women, don't eat yellow snow. And, you know, they did the best they could with these rowdy kids. My brothers Mike and Dave and I got into a lot of trouble. I remember being a little kid and asking my dad, Dad, can I have $5? Little kid. He said, what have you done for me lately, son? I said, Dad, the cops haven't called you today. He looked at his watch and pulled out the money, you know. So we were a handful, and I went to high school, and I was there for 6 years. I had 3 senior years in high school. Now, that ain't right, right? About how many years should you be a senior? 1. 1's enough. One should be good, right? But I went back for a second time, and that wasn't good enough, so I went back for a third time, and I remember my principal, Quince Fulton, he sees me walking into the high school. He says, oh, no, Hughes, get out of here. Get a GED, go to a junior college, no more, enough's enough. And I told him, hey, if I get bad grades, you can kick me out. I think I got this thing whipped this time, right? And he let me go to school, and I graduated. I even got a standing ovation. Y'all give me a hand. Come on now. I got a standing ovation after 6 years in high school. Matter of fact, my whole family was there, and I think my brother Tony was videotaping, and there's a lot of people walking the stage, some of them in wheelchairs, and everybody's cheering, and some of them on walkers, and everybody's cheering. And when it was my time, they called my name, and they said, Chris Hughes, and the place erupted. And I walked the stage, and I'm crying, and it's exciting, and my family's cheering, and this old man who was sitting next to my family while they're videotaping says to his wife, why are they all clapping for him? She said, that's that boy. It took 10 years to get out of high school. He said, oh! But I got out. I got out. Then I go to college. I'm in college for 5 years. And when I was done, I was a sophomore. And so I struggled there. And, you know, what am I going to do with myself? And so I'm in the restaurant business. I'm waiting tables at a restaurant, making $200 to $300 a week in tips. I'm living in a nasty cockroach and rat-infested house, built in 1927, drive-by shootings, burglaries, all of that stuff. That's where I was 8.5, almost 9 years ago when I got started in prepaid legal. One day my brother Jeff calls me, says, Chris, there's something I want to show you. You may or may not be interested. It's only going to take about 15 minutes. And by the way, I'm buying pizza, something like that. And I said, I don't know what all that stuff was you just said, but I'll eat your food. What time you want me there? I ate his food, and he pulls out a video, and it says, now is the time. And I'm thinking to myself, now is the time to end this pizza party. I got to go. And he puts the video in 12.5 minutes. I'm looking at my brother Mike, looking at my brother Dave, and we all said, we're in. We said, Jeff, we're in. What do we do? He goes, I don't know. I'm not in yet. But he says there's a guy by the name of Patrick Shaw over in Dallas, Texas, making over $10,000 a month 8.5 years ago. He probably has the answer. So we go down, we meet him. Incredible. We get started in prepaid legal services. My very first month in prepaid legal, I made no money, not a dollar. But I was so excited about that I quit my job and went full time. Anybody made that mistake? I'm like, man, $100 a sale. You know, I'm making $200 a week waiting tables. I'll sell 2 of these on Monday morning and take the rest of the week off. Anybody else think like that? Didn't happen like that for me. So I don't know if you all have had that experience in your life. Some people call it the day that turns your life around. Some people call it rock bottom. But if you're having trouble succeeding and you've not yet hit rock bottom, I gently wish that upon you. And here's why. Because on the way down, you can be deceived. You're falling off this mountain. And on the way down, you may grab a bush that's hanging out of the rocks and be deceived by that temporary assistance. But when it breaks away, you continue to go down. And someone may loan you money, and I've had that happen in my life, and there's deception there. Oh, good, I'm good. But then the money goes away and you continue to fall backwards. And there's a time in your life, and many of the people in the front row have experienced it, if not all of them, where you hit rock bottom. And it's no fun to be at rock bottom because it's cold and it's dark. But there's some good news about being at the rock bottom. It's rock bottom, which means you can't go any lower. And even though it's cold and it's dark, it's solid. And when you're down there, a lot of times it's rock bottom, which allows you the strength to catapult you into your life's new possibilities. And that's what happened for me as I hit rock bottom. You know, I had one of those days of disgust where I said, I can't live like this anymore. I was living in this nasty house, and my job was to mow the yard. I didn't have to pay rent. Thank goodness, didn't have it. He said, you mow the yard, take the rent checks from all the other broke dudes, and you'll be okay. I'll let you live there for free. So I'm mowing the yard one day, Saturday afternoon. As I'm mowing the yard, I see something on the side of my eye. I look over. It's a man with a weed whacker running as fast as he can down the middle of the road. And I thought, wow. You don't see that every day, do you? Not every day. So I just keep mowing. I'm mowing, and I see something else, and I look, and it's a pit bull running as fast as he could run after the guy with a weed whacker. I thought, wow. You don't see that every day, right? Not every day. But I keep mowing. I'm watching this fiasco go up the street. I see something else. I look over. It's a man with a 9mm running as fast as he can down the street. And I'm thinking, wow. You don't see that every day. Not every day. And then bang, 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 bang. 4 shots. And I'm thinking, wow. Whoa! Oh, help me. Help me. Woo! And I'm watching that fiasco go down the street. And I'm laying there with my cheek pressed into an anthill. Now, these aren't sugar ants. These are Texas fire ants, y'all. And I'm thinking to myself, wow! No, I'm thinking to myself, I should probably move. I need to get out of here. I need to get out of this town. I need to get out of this house. I need to get off of this anthill. And that was one of the many days that did it for me, where I just said, what are you doing? And so what I've come from Southern California to Las Vegas, Nevada today to do is to ask you this. Is what is pressing you? What is pressing you in your life right now? You see, many of us, especially those of you up there, are dealing with things that you don't have to deal with. You're allowing people and circumstances to press you, and you don't have to. I remember when I had this job, I wasn't even waiting tables. I'm cleaning dishes. I'm the busboy. And I'm walking by doing my job, and this guy says to me, hey, boy. And I just kept walking because I'm like, yeah, I know he ain't talking to me. That's not my name. He doesn't know me. I kept walking, hey, boy, boy. And I turn around, and you've just got to be composed. You can't say what you're thinking, right? They'll fire you. Maybe you'll be sued. I turn around, I said, are you talking to me? He says, yeah, I'm talking to you, boy. He says, look at this glass. You see something wrong with this glass? And I grabbed it, and I looked at it, and I'm looking for, lipstick or a hair or a fly, and I put it in the window, and I didn't see anything. I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't see anything on this glass. He said, you see the T that's at the bottom of the glass, boy? I said, yeah, I see it. He says, the T at the bottom of the glass should be at the top of the glass. And the ghetto that was inside of me still then wanted to come out. But what do you have to do when you need money worse than anything? You say, yes, sir. And why is it that you say yes, sir, to someone who disrespects you? It is because life is pressing you. And you don't have to tolerate that anymore. The woman who lives in fear of her husband to come home, and he comes home again and he's drunk and he's rowdy and he roughs her up and he roughs up the children. She doesn't have to live like that anymore. The father who's on his hands and knees praying to God, God, I'm trying my best. to take care of my family. I'm trying my best to take care of my wife and to take care of my children. But he still can't pay the bills, and he still can't keep the wolves away from the door. You don't have to live like that anymore. If you've never been told before, let me tell you now, you do not have to live like that anymore. I give you permission to liberate yourselves. Liberate yourselves. So how do you do that? It's called change. We've got an interesting political campaign going on both sides. Obama's got his thing. McCain has his thing. And I loved what Mr. Savola said earlier. It all sounds so good. But when you run out of diapers at night, try to get one of those guys on the telephone. Let me tell you the reality. They may put together some stimulus package, but they are not going to make you wealthy. They are not going to pay your bills, and they are not going to send the wolves away from your door. So what you've got to do, and I love it, Jim Rohn said it best, in order for things to change, you must change. That's how you create life change, is you change. Everybody wants to go to work on the Republicans. They want to go to work on the Democrats. They want to go to work on the economy, the war in Iraq, gas prices. If you just go to work on yourself, all that stuff kind of goes away. It may be swirling all around you, but it's okay because your world is straight. So you want to change yourself, and how does that work? I don't know if we can see this. Yes, there's only two roads in life to take. There's the road of blame. And there's the road. We've got blame. Let's talk about blame for just a minute. If I go back to the neighborhood that I lived in, and I talk to my neighbor on the left, and I talk to my neighbor on the right, and I talk to the neighbors across the street, and I ask them the question, why do you live in this neighborhood? Why do you drive that car? It is so interesting what they say. They'll blame the man. They'll blame their daddy that ran off before they ever knew them. They'll blame the Republicans, the Democrats. They'll blame everything. I've never had anybody tell me, you know what, Chris, I live here, drive that, because of the terrible, pathetic, abhorrent decisions that I've made in my life. Nobody ever says that. They always want to blame somebody else. Why? Because life of blame is easier. It's easier to blame people. Then there's the life of responsibility. And if you've never had this experience, I don't know if everybody needs it. I don't know if everybody needs it, but I certainly needed it. I had to go into the mirror one day, and I gave it to myself. I had to, many of you have heard that the truth shall set you free. And I had to tell myself the truth. I made sure all my roommates were gone so that they didn't call for help. And I gave it to myself in the mirror. I looked at myself and I was bawling. It was disgusting. It was a snot fest. It was gooey, and I'm, trying to get all this stuff off my face. And I said, Chris, and I'm bawling. I said, you did this to you. All the decisions that you've made in your life, all of the people that you've hung out with, and all of the neglect has put you in this position today, right here. You did this to you. It wasn't your mom, it wasn't your dad, it wasn't your family, it wasn't your friends. You did this to you. You did this to you. And I just went on and on and on. Jim Rohn, who's one of my original mentors in personal development, he says this: when somebody messes up, you got to tell them you messed up. But then he says, don't leave them in the mess. And so here's what I said to myself: Chris, you messed up, but guess what? Number one, I love you. Number two, I forgive you. And number three, it's on like Donkey Kong. I've made a new decision. I'm going to do some things with my life, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get it done. So I challenge you all to take the road of responsibility. If you're blaming yourself, if you're blaming your spouse, if you're blaming your children, your upline. If my upline would call me back, I'd be platinum by now. Anybody ever, you hear this? Don't do that. Don't do that. I remember calling my brother Jeff one time and trying to get him to send out an email to the whole team. He's my sponsor. I said, Jeff, I got a great idea. You should send this email out to the whole team. And he goes, Chris, that's a great idea. You should do that. I said, no, you don't understand. You should do it. You should send out the email to the whole team. He goes, Chris, that is a great idea. You should do that. I said, Jeff, I can't do it. You're up there. I'm saying you should send it out to the whole team. And he said, Chris, that's a great idea. You should do it. I said, Jeff, what are you trying to teach me? And he said this. He said, mind your own business. And what he had taught me, it was that he was the CEO of his business that included me. And I was the CEO of my business that did not include him. Does that make sense? And it was on that day that I realized I am the boss. I must take full responsibility. I can't allow somebody up there or down there to solve all my problems. I have to create it within myself. I've got to create the solution. I've got to be the solution. So, folks, it's all about us and our ability to change. And I want to talk about how to do that. There's one thing probably in most of our lives that's holding us back, that's keeping us from having the success that we want. And Jim Rohn calls it the 5 major pieces to the life's puzzle. In other words, what we need to make our life work. And it starts out with your own personal philosophy. Can you all see that? Number 2, an attitude. I hope you'll get this in your notes, especially if you've never heard this before. Number 3 is your actions or the activities. Number 4 is the results. And number 5 is lifestyle. That better? Style. How in the world did I do that? Let's try over. Life. That's right. What? Look at that. Lifestyle. Lifestyle. That better? I love what was said yesterday. Would you rather say, I is smart? Or however they said it. All right, let's get back over here. I am smart or I is a millionaire. How about that? All right, here we go. See, I am proving it to all of you that you too can be here very soon. Very soon. Okay, so let's talk about this. The people on the front row, they have lifestyle. Many of them have the lifestyle that they want. But what about the rest of you? Do you have the lifestyle that you want? And if the answer is the ultimate, the health, the romance, the world travel, all of the money, all of the time, do you have that? It's either yes or no. And if it's no, you've got to figure out what is the culprit. Why do I not have the lifestyle that I want? And you go back and you look at the next step. Let's go backwards. Let's look at your results. Are you getting the results that you want in life? And if you're not getting the results in your life, you've got to ask yourself why. Why am I not getting the results in life? So you look at your actions. Are you doing the actions that it takes to get the results that you want? And here's the reality. We're all here today, which means we all know the actions. And many of us have been here for years and years and years and years and years. And we know the actions, but we don't do the actions. So how can you come to a convention after a convention after a convention after a convention and not do the actions? Let's look for the culprit. Let's go back a step. Attitude. What is your attitude? What is your attitude about the business? What is your attitude about the industry? What is your attitude about your team? Your attitude. How many of you know people that have a really positive attitude? You might know some people like that. Oh, Mr. Denny, he was the guy that goes, yeah, I was going to say Mr. Denny even before he did that. Mr. Denny one time called me and he said, hey, Chris, how's it going? We're chit-chatting. And I was getting ready to go negative. I was getting ready to say something negative. I don't remember what it was, but I was like gearing up, right? He's doing his positive thing and I'm waiting for a break so I can go negative. And I was like, man, Mr. Denny, and he could tell in my tone and he goes, Chris. I said, what? He's like, isn't life awesome? I was like, wow, that's a positive guy, right? I'm like, man, let a brother go negative. I just want to go negative for a little while. Wouldn't let me go negative, not for a little while. So he has a positive attitude. How many of you know people that have a negative attitude? Just nasty. People you just don't even want to be around. And there's some people that positively have a negative attitude. Y'all know these? So why do people have a bad attitude? I love the story about the twin boys that were born and raised by an alcoholic, abusive father. In all the days of their life, he abused them and mistreated them and came home drunk. And they did a study on the 2 twin boys, and one of them wound up a success, corporate executive, married, successful relationships, the other one in prison. They go to the one in prison and said, how did you get here? He says, with a father like mine, where would you expect me to wind up? They go to the guy who was successful. He said, how'd you wind up here? He says, with a father like mine, where would you expect me to wind up? It's all about your attitude and how you see it. But how can 2 people in the same environment, we're all here, how can somebody go out that door and go negative when they get home and somebody go out that door and go positive when they go home? It's because of your philosophy. And your philosophy could be this. We could scratch this out and we could call it your belief. And it is my opinion that your belief has brought you up here or keeps you back there. Your belief is what will set you free. Your belief, the thing that you believe inside of you. What have you been taught your entire life about yourself? You see, I was told that college dropouts don't do well. And I didn't want to disappoint anybody. So I didn't do well. And you see, my whole life, I could see the goal, I could see the prize. I saw people getting wealthy all around me, and I'm trying, I see it up there. It's right there, and I can almost get it, but I can't quite break free. And what is it? And I'm looking in the mirror, I'm like, I'm trying to look the part. I'm going to all the events, I'm going to the trainings. What's going on? I'm trying to break free, and I realize that I have this mental anchor that's holding me back that says, people like you aren't supposed to do well. Says who? Says who? And you see, I had to release myself from that stinking thinking, from that negative attitude, that negative philosophy. So if there's any of my college dropout brothers and sisters in the house today, if you've bought into that philosophy, set yourself free. See, the whole point of today's training is personal development. It's this idea of reaching outside of your neighborhood and reaching outside of your family, reaching outside of your city, your state, your country, and gathering some new information to create a new philosophy. I remember in the early days listening to Brian Tracy. He tells you to look in the mirror and say, you're the best, you're the best. I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. And I go to all my appointments, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. And I would do that because my whole life people told me everything but that. You can't do it, you're not good enough. You don't have the right degree, you're not fast enough, you're not strong enough, and all that stuff. See, personal development says you can. And if you don't know what personal development is, it's this concept of reading good books every day, just striving every day to be a little bit better every day than you were the day before. That's the challenge of personal development, listening to information every day, reprogramming that negativity that's been swimming around in your head for all of these years. Every day, read a little that's positive. Now, I'm not talking about these books, with Fabio, with the lady all scantily dressed, draped over Fabio. Don't read those books. That'll mess you up. Okay? Read good books like Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, the power of positive thinking. You want to read good books. You want to listen to audio tapes. See at the top, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Les Brown, all of the greats that are out there, Jack Canfield. Listen to something positive. Jeff Olson, that'll rock your world, change everything, change the philosophies from the inside, and your life begins to change on the outside. It is my absolute conviction that nothing out here changes until everything in here changes. The reason people are broke on the outside is because they're broke on the inside. And when you put wealth on the inside, you can see wealth on the outside. And it was Benjamin Franklin who said, I love how he said this. He said, take thy coins from thy purse and pour them into thy mind, and thy mind will pour coins back into thy purse. Isn't that beautiful? That's called personal development, making an investment in yourself. But what I want to challenge you all to do here today is to change your philosophy. If you're a college dropout, what do you believe about yourself and your ability to succeed? And it could be anything. What do you feel about your ability to succeed? If you're a woman in America, what do you feel? What is your belief about your ability to succeed equally to your male counterparts? If you are African American or Hispanic or Polynesian or Asian or from the Middle East, what is your belief system here? Is it holding you back or is it liberating you? Immigrants who come to this country are much more likely to become millionaires. Why? Because they believe they can. I'm going to go to America and become a millionaire. And you know what happens? They come to America and they become a millionaire. Why? Because they believe that they could. They believe that they could. So all we've got to do here today is make a commitment to change your philosophy. I promise you, if you've been in the game for a while and it's not happening for you, but you're doing everything else, you're doing all the activities, you're showing up, you're going to everything that you're supposed to go to, I can promise you it is your philosophy. There are anchors in your mind, there are anchors in your soul that are gripping the tracks behind you and not allowing you to liberate yourself. And you will be amazed when you get your philosophy straight. When those claws come out of the ground behind you, you burst into the finish line. And you'll have an experience like Napoleon Hill taught, that when riches begin to come, they will come so quickly and in such great abundance that you will wonder where they'd been hiding during all the lean years. And that's what happened in prepaid legal. My first month, no money. Second month, $300. Third month, no money. By the end of the first year, $21,000 part-time. Now that was 3 times more than I'd made the year before waiting tables. Tripled. I'm thinking, man, Napoleon's right. I'm rich. 21,000. Second year, 43,000. Third year, 144,000. That is my wish for you. We get this right, we'll get that right. God bless you.